Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. Throwaway because my family uses Reddit. I, 35 female, have been married to my husband, 37 male, for 5.5 years, and we have an 18-month-old daughter. We have generally had a good marriage, but have repeatedly had the same two arguments for 3+ years. The first argument is that I work full-time, pay 85% of our bills, and do all of the cooking, cleaning, shopping, laundry, running of the household, etc. He also works full-time, but after work comes home and immediately takes his work clothes off, throws them on the couch in my living room, and goes into the family room to watch YouTube. I have repeatedly asked for help and get the runaround. The second is that he has a small pee addiction and suffers from premature ejaculation. An issue in itself, but not our main problem currently. The last week and a half or so, I had been running 80 miles an hour getting ready for the holiday this week. I was cleaning the house, washing the bedding in the guest room, cleaning the fridge, doing all the bits and pieces that you need to do to host family for Thanksgiving. I was also doing all of my daily things as well. For example, on a typical day, I wake up, make sure his, mine, and the baby's lunches are packed. She's dressed for daycare, my work bag is packed, drive to work. After work, I drive to the daycare to pick up baby girl, often taking meetings via phone on the commute. Do any errands that need done, grocery, Costco, pharmacy, etc. Come home, immediately breastfeed the baby, start dinner so we can eat once he's home, give the baby a bath, let her play while I clean off the table, do the dishes, clean the kitchen, tidy up, feed her again, get her to sleep, and then finally take a shower myself. It's basic daily tasks, but I don't stop until 9 to 10 at night. Last week I asked again for help, but was told that he needed the break because he is tired. I naturally told him that I never get a break, and I'm tired too, and need help with the house, and if he can't contribute half financially, he can at least contribute half of the cleaning. He shut down, and just gave me the silent treatment for 2 days, then asked me if I wanted to go to his mother's house with him and the baby. I said only if he wasn't going to ignore me the whole time. That was the match that lit the fuse. He exploded. Evidently, I have done nothing but bitch for the last 3 years. He hates cleaning and isn't going to do it. That if him contributing is such a big deal, then we should divorce. I asked him to explain what that looks like to him. He said, I'll get an apartment and sign the house over to you, refinance it in your name. We'll split custody 50-50 and split her expenses 50-50 as well. He then stormed out of the house and went to his mother's until about 1 a.m. He again gave me the silent treatment for 2 days. The other day I asked him how his apartment hunting was going, and he said, "What?" I told him I thought he was right. I had been bitching about this for 3 years. I'm miserable, and he's not helping make my life easier. That I agreed divorce is the best option, and that I would rather separate as friends and be good co-parents than grow to hate him and feel stuck in a toxic marriage. He then said, I only said that to scare you into shutting up. Basically, he attempted to emotionally abuse, manipulate me to get his way. As someone who grew up in a toxic and abusive childhood, this immediately shut me down emotionally. Like I look at him, and I feel nothing. He is trying now to get back in my good graces, bringing flowers, chocolates, and all it does is make me angrier. I need advice. Is the fact that he tried to manipulate me and admitted it a valid reason for me to just want to shut this down? Because I have to be honest, I'm tempted to ruin Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'm just angry and reacting out of that, or if I am truly at the end of my rope. He's not just manipulating OP. He's exploiting her. OP is carrying the financial burden, all household responsibilities, childcare, and he tried to use divorce as a weapon when OP asked for basic partnership. His admission that he was trying to scare OP into shutting up shows he views OP's valid needs as an inconvenience to be silenced. OP is already functioning as a single parent while bankrolling his lifestyle. The only difference is, OP has an adult dependent who throws his clothes on her couch and watches YouTube while OP exhausts herself. The flowers and chocolates now aren't remorse. They're panic because his emotional blackmail didn't work. OP is not overreacting. She is finally seeing clearly. When someone tells you they'd rather divorce than contribute to their own household, and then admits they were just trying to scare you into compliance, believe that revelation. He's showing OP he prioritizes his comfort over her well-being and will use emotional warfare to maintain it. OP is not angry because of the manipulation attempt. She is angry because it exposed the fundamental disrespect at the core of their marriage. He contributes minimally financially, does nothing domestically, and, when confronted, tries to weaponize divorce to silence OP. The flowers aren't going to fix this level of betrayal. Update. Hi y'all. It's been a while since I posted, but I wanted to let things play out and give you a full update. Firstly, I wanted to say thank you to all of you who responded and gave encouragement. You helped more than you know. I did it. I filed for divorce. Our divorce should be final mid-June. He fought it for a few months, but finally seems to see that I can't move on, and I won't let him rug sweep it anymore. He is still talking about hoping for a future reconciliation. But I told him that, honestly, without massive amounts of therapy for both of us, I don't see much hope there. Honestly, once he accepted that I wasn't giving in, and that the divorce was real, he was very agreeable to discussing terms and working with me on custody arrangements, housing, etc. That's not to say we didn't have our drama. Lord knows we did. Fortunately, nothing too physical towards me. He grabbed me a few times, trying to force me to stay in a room to get yelled at. But I set him straight real quick there. The first time was back in February. He was still in denial that I had filed and was very angry about losing the best things in his life. He threatened to go downstairs and take his own life. Because I'm stubborn as the day is long and don't have the sense God gave a goose, I followed him down there. I ended up wrestling him and locking myself and the toddler in the bedroom. I should have called the police. I still don't know why I didn't. Instead, I called his brother and told him to come get him. They did, and the next day I took the gun. That was unloaded and never had ammo because he was manipulating me again, to his parents, and said if that gun made another appearance in my home or around my child, I would ensure he was never around her again. It hasn't been seen since. A few weeks later, on their B-Day, toddler and soon-to-be ex share a B-Day. He jumped off my 2-story deck after my daughter's B-Day party. I didn't see it. I came down the hall, and our 2-year-old said, "Mama, Daddy fall." I walked outside, and he was kneeling by my lawnmower, said he was fixing it. Obviously, my 2-year-old hasn't learned to lie yet. I texted my friend and said, "I'm pretty sure he just jumped off the deck." He doesn't seem hurt, but I don't know what to do. As I hit send, I hear him on the deck talking to our kid. I looked out the door, and he's leaning off the edge, obviously about to jump again. I lost it. It probably wasn't the appropriate thing to say, and I probably am a terrible person for saying it. But it worked, and I don't regret it. I told him, "So help me God, if you jump off this deck and die, I will move, and your family will likely only see her once a year. You jump off this deck and live, and I guarantee you will never see her unsupervised again. You step back over that railing and get both feet on this deck right now, or I swear to God, I'll make sure of it." He stepped back on the deck pretty quickly. He, of course, wanted to then argue about how I am driving him to this, how he doesn't deserve to be left alone. I'm breaking his heart. I reminded him he spent the last almost 4 years now breaking my heart and spirit, and I was done having this conversation. As I turned to walk away, this man grabbed my wrist to force me to turn around. I already had my phone in my hand, and I never called 911 so fast. The police showed up and took him to the hospital for a psych evaluation. I was under the impression that AS attempt in this state required a 72-hour hold. They released him after 2 hours, suggesting he talk to a therapist. I didn't want to involve the police. I tried to avoid it, but I kind of wish I had involved them earlier. He has been much more docile and accepting since. No more grabbing, no more threats. We still argue, but at least the worst part seems to have disappeared. It helps that even his parents are telling him, She called the cops on you. She's crazy. Let her go. I'm fine with being labeled the crazy one. I've been called worse by better people.
I, 56 male, have 3 children: Sam, 32 male, Eve, 30 female, and Amy, 28 female. Sam and Eve are married with children, and my wife and I started college funds for them that we put money in at least twice a year. Sam married a woman, Jane, 36 female, who already had 2 children from a previous relationship, and we have accepted them as part of the family once they proved that they were serious. My wife and I invite them over, give them presents, attend after-school activities, occasionally babysit, and don't mind that they call us Grandpa and Grandma. During our first in-person family get-together since virus, my wife and our children and their children, along with my sister-in-law and her family. It was especially nice because this was the first time that we were meeting sister-in-law's first grandchild, a sweet baby girl who's 8 months old. The topic of saving up for college came up, and my wife casually mentioned about how we started up college funds for all 3 grandchildren. Sam's wife overheard and walked in laughing to say, "You mean 5. Not wanting to cause any future problems through miscommunication, I corrected and explained things to Jane. She didn't seem upset at the time, but after everyone had left, Sam called and said how upset he and Jane were that we didn't start up funds for Sam's stepchildren. I told him that it was our money and we could do whatever we wanted with it, and to think of it as a way to focus any money that they would have put towards his biological child, to just give it to the stepchildren. I thought that my reasoning was logical and thought that my son agreed when he stopped talking about it. Again, we were called about the lack of funding for the stepchildren, and Jane wanted to know why we weren't treating them equally. I calmly explained that in almost every other way, we do treat the kids like our other grandchildren, but their ties to us are only there through marriage, and if Sam and Jane were divorced, then they may not be our grandchildren anymore. Jane was really hurt by this and asked me if that meant that her kids wouldn't inherit anything once my wife and I were gone. I felt very offended because that was a personal question, but answered yes. If Jane and Sam were still married by the time we died, her kids would get something. But if she wanted it to be an equal share and us to start college fund for the first 2 kids, then she and Sam would need to sign an agreement stating that they would never divorce. Jane got offended, and I asked her why if she truly loves my son and never intends to divorce him. My other children agree that signing an agreement wouldn't be a big deal, but Sam is upset too. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Because I know that this might come up, I am aware that blood ties aren't always what makes people family, and as far as I know, Sam hasn't legally adopted Jane's first 2 children. Also, when the college funds were mentioned, we were out of earshot from all the children, so the only way Jane's kids would find out is if an adult tells them. Edited to add 2. 1. Because I keep seeing this. No, this agreement wouldn't be to keep them from getting a divorce. That's ridiculous. It would be in regards to both my son and Jane paying back any of the college fund money that the stepkids use. 2. Yes, my wife and I are more well off than Jane's parents, so if they are starting a college fund, I don't expect it to be as much as we would contribute. 3. No, I don't know about the stepkids' biological paternal side, as they live elsewhere, and my wife and I have no reason to be in communication with them. I can only ever think of one time that I've actually seen them in person. Edited to add 3. Another one because I'm still getting the same thing, so I'll explain my reasoning a bit more. No matter what happens with my children's marriages, their children will always be my grandchildren, from both a legal and biological standpoint. The same can't be said for Jane's kids, because what happens if her and my son divorce and each of them remarry? Am I supposed to still give her first 2 children an equal amount as everyone else? Also, what if Sam marries another woman with kids? Am I expected to be just as financially responsible for them as the others? Where does it end? Also, that means that there will be less money all around, and I don't want to do that. Not the a-hole. My aunts and uncles went through a number of marriages when I was a kid, often with stepchildren. Despite how much the then married couples claimed their love was forever, the majority of those marriages didn't last until the kids reached adulthood, much less finish college. When it comes to people I'm only connected to via someone else's marriage, I'm aware that I might not be connected to them for long. I don't really see how it's the grandparents' responsibility to save college money for the grandkids. It should be the parents, so it's a nice thing you're doing. They should be grateful. This Jane seems very entitled, and you should stand your ground, because divorces are too likely to happen. Yes, the a-hole. It's not about the money. If I were your child, I would be hurt by almost everything you said to them. You are not a ting maliciously, but your logic is a tad cold and brusque. In pursuing your own logic, you might lose the emotional connection with your son and daughter-in-law. Not the a-hole. Yikes! Jane is very concerned about your money and getting a fair share. I think this is a huge red flag. I, 34 male, used to be in a relationship with Sarah, 35 female. We met in middle school, dated on and off in high school, and even talked about marriage in college. This all came to an end when I caught her cheating with my roommate and we broke up. It was really hard, but it got worse when I found out that she was pregnant. Immediately I sought her out and to confront the possibility of her baby being mine, and Sarah avoided me while sending her friend and new boyfriend Adam, guy she cheated with, after me to stop harassing her. I reached out to her mom, explicitly stating that I only wished to know if there was a chance that I was the father, and after enough persistence, Sarah contacted me directly, called me pathetic, that I wasn't the father, and if I continued, she would call the police. Being a broke 19-year-old, I took her at her word and washed my hands of the situation and transferred to another college and moved on with my life. Eventually, I met my fiancée, Miranda, 29 female, and we've been very happy together. Before the virus, we were supposed to get married, but understandably that got pushed back. Now that restrictions are loosening up, we're moving forward with the plans, but have drastically cut down on the number of invites to abide by the venue's safety policy. After completing the list and sending out the invitations, I was recently contacted by Kevin, 15 male, claiming to be my son. Obviously, I didn't take him at his word and asked who his mom was, and he said Sarah. I told him that before he was born, his mom assured me that I wasn't the father and asked him why he thought I was. Kevin explained that it came out that Sarah's husband, Adam, wasn't his bio dad, divorced her, and hasn't spoken to Kevin in years. I agreed to take a paternity test and was shocked that I was his dad. I was pissed because I asked Sarah if there was any chance and she denied it. Miranda was surprised but also supportive, and I've been speaking to Kevin regularly while also making plans to see him. He saw on social media that Miranda and I were planning on getting married in the spring and wanted to come. Unfortunately, everyone that we've already invited have all RSVP'd and made special accommodations to attend our child-free wedding. There's no way Kevin can come without Miranda and I disinviting someone else, which we feel is rude. I told Kevin that while I can't invite him to the wedding, I promised to put together another event so he can meet more people in my family. He seemed understanding, but his maternal grandmother called me up to berate me for not making him a priority now that I'm aware of his existence. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, because I keep seeing this. The venue has a policy on the number of people who can attend due to safety. This isn't about the fire codes, but virus, not the fact that the wedding is child-free. Edited to add too. Thank you to those suggesting that we explain the situation to our guests to see if anyone would be kind enough to allow Kevin to come instead. I will talk to Miranda about this, but also reach out to Kevin directly, since, so far, only his grandmother is giving me flack for not inviting him. Not the a-hole. You told him the circumstances and he said he understood. The grandmother is not involved. I would seriously consider suing this kid's mom if you have proof she lied to you. Holy cow. What ground could this grandmother possibly have to stand on? The only reason he's not at the wedding in the first place is because her daughter denied you the opportunity to be Kevin's father. Tell his grandmother to kiss your butt and spend more time raising her horrible daughter. Your son is fine with it. His grandma is an a-hole, as is his mom. It'll be too much social pressure for him. It's best if you introduce him to your family at a less socially pressured situation. All the best, not the a-hole. I, 25 male, have divorced parents. I was 8 when their marriage broke up because my dad was seeing another woman, a co-worker actually. At the time, he and my mom had me and my sister, who was 6 at the time. My sister and I were pretty young, but Dad moved out, say, April 1st, and April 7th when we went to stay with him, he was living with another woman, who was pregnant, and told us our family was going to be changing. We kind of figured he left Mom so he could be a family with her and the kids. We never liked it, but we didn't cause much of a fuss either. So 11 years ago, some stuff happened. My dad and his wife were out of the country for what was supposed to be a short period of time, and my dad's mom was watching the kids. But she had a medical emergency and collapsed. My mom was asked if she would keep the kids until my dad and his wife could get home, and she said no, and nobody else stepped up, so they were in foster care for 5 days until my dad and his wife made it back. and they got sidetracked by bad weather and delays on the flights. This has been a huge problem ever since. I always knew they didn't like it. So did Mom. She told me to ignore it. But recently there was a barbecue for my dad's side of the family, and they all brought it up and said my mom was evil and soulless. My dad's wife said that the devil is alive in that one, and I told them they need to get over what happened. It was never her responsibility to take the kids. She was in no way obligated to take in kids who were not part of her family, and said that something that happens over a decade ago, that was the result of their own poor planning and actions in the past, and not anything to do with my mom being the devil or evil. They got mad at me. They asked how I could say such a thing when my siblings suffered because of my mom's actions. I said my mom had no obligation to them, and that if they had cared that much, someone else from the family should have flown in to take care of them until my dad and his wife got back home. They all think I was wrong for saying that, because of my step-and-half siblings, and how their feelings would have been hurt if they heard me defending my mom, who let them go into care. Am I the a-hole? Every person at that table other than you and your sister had more of an obligation to take care of your siblings than your mother. In case I'm not clear, your mother had zero obligation to do anything. The only a-hole here are your family who are crap-talking your mother in front of you. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your dad and his wife are the only a-holes. So, like your dad and his mistress broke up your family, left y'all to a single mom who was probably heartbroken, and they're the victims? Holy crap. Honestly, I would have said duck those kids too. Edited to add, you're a better person than me. I would have spit on her and made her eat it. Your dad cheated, left your mom with 2 kids, got some lady pregnant, who was probably aware of his existing wife and kids, while still with your mom, became a full-time dad to a stepkid and new baby, started a whole new family, and your mom is the evil one here. Evil for what? Not wanting to take care of their infidelity baby and their other kid? There's a way to do things. Their way shouldn't have been an option. Maybe had they done things right and not cheated and broke up an existing family unit. Maybe. Not the a-hole. Everything you said was facts, and the fact that your dad expected his ex-wife to take care of kids from his affair is gross. My fiancé, male 26, and I, female 24, have been engaged for 3 months. Wedding planning has started, and I have to say that my fiancé does not get along with most of my family. Distant relatives, both parents deceased. But the one he has a real issue with is my 19-year-old brother. My fiancé thinks that my brother is spoiled, simply for having a college fund. He thinks he's reckless for driving when he was 16. Thinks he's irresponsible for spending money on expensive stuff like a gaming chair or headphones. But my brother has a passion for gaming. My fiancé at some point made fun of him for stating he wanted to open a business to help with computer programming as a side thing after school. Last argument they had was about the birthday gift I bought for my brother. It was $140 sunglasses. My fiancé berated my brother for asking for such a gift, but it was me who thought of getting him the sunglasses. Now, while we're in the middle of wedding planning, my fiancé told me about the no+1 rule. I didn't think much of it till I heard that he disinvited my brother. I asked him why, and he said because my brother has a girlfriend, and he isn't allowed to bring her unless they're engaged. So he basically put a condition on my brother to be able to attend the wedding. Let's be real. At 19, my brother cannot afford to get engaged, so it's illogical to hold that over his head. My fiancé said that it wasn't his problem, and that I should talk to my brother, which I did. I then re-invited him and sent him a new invite after my fiancé took the old one back. Then, 2 days later, I found out my fiancé disinvited him again. I immediately re-invited him and sent him an invite. My fiancé found out and disinvited him again. I re-invited him. Then, after I got home, my fiancé blew up, asking what it is that I've been doing by stubbornly going behind his back and re-inviting my brother to the wedding. I said he's my brother and I want him there for me. He said it's our wedding, not just mine. We went back and forth, and I firmly told him that I already stated my wish in wanting my only immediate family member there, and that I will send my brother an invitation to our wedding again, and again, and again if he keeps disinviting him. He looked at me shocked, then went into the room and stayed there and avoided me for an entire day. His mom then started getting herself involved, calling me not-so-wife material, because of how stubborn and childish I'm being towards her son's input, and that in any decision we both discuss, one no should win. I get it's his wedding too, but I really want my brother there, and I don't see the no+1 as a good enough excuse to exclude him. Personally, I don't think the rule is necessary to begin with. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. As for my brother's reaction to all of this, he accepted all the re-invites, but has picked up on what my fiancé is doing and told me that he won't allow himself to ruin my wedding or cause any problems, and stated he may not accept another invite if my fiancé takes back the one he currently has. Info. Why are you marrying someone who hates your brother for no good reason? I don't know. At the beginning, I thought there must be something missing or something I'm not fully understanding in their relationship or lack thereof. I always hear both sides of the argument, yet cannot pinpoint what the real problem is. Not the a-hole, but I think you're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic here. There's no way you should marry this person who repeatedly disinvited your own brother to your own wedding, even though you want him there, and called you stubborn and childish for objecting. I mean, if your brother had been aggressive toward your fiancé, I'd see his point. But if anything, it's your fiancé who was picking on your brother.